This is the YouTube channel Lex Consilium Foundation, and I am Major General Neelendra Kumar in conversation here with senior journalist Dilip Bobb. He has appeared earlier on this channel and we continue the conversation. I would also like you to tell the viewers here you had started a column sometime back titled Flip Side that had continued for quite a while. How do you see the outcome of that?
The first actual satire, I must say that India Today allowed me to lampoon politicians without any worry about any blowback. So it was all satire, but it was done in a very subtle way. I lampooned a lot of politicians. It was also based on current events that were happening at that time. But it was the first satire. Since then, there have been others that have tried to, other outlets. But mine was the first attempt at a regular column, which was totally on satire and taking on the establishment in a funny way. So it was very successful, and that's why the magazine allowed me to keep it going for many years. And I got a lot of pleasure out of doing that. I got a lot of very positive feedback as well, even from people I'd lampooned.
I think that is something that would lead to the healthy reporting to make the atmosphere also light. Otherwise, we take the politicians and authorities very seriously and formally in our country.
Exactly.
To some extent, these stand-up comedians of these days, they have got encouragement from the efforts that you had put in. Next, Dilip, I would like you summarize, put a caricature, illustration of few persons with whom you would have interacted, well-known authorities. They are not with us now. How do you see? Do bring out if you have any interesting encounter you had, or an episode or anecdote. And I'll start that with Arun Jaitley.
So Arun Jaitley, I knew him well. He was a very brilliant man, brilliant lawyer first, and of course he was mad about cricket, which is why he got into cricket administration as well. I used to meet him regularly in Lodi Gardens, where he used to go for a walk every morning.
Okay.
So I used to also go for a walk in Lodi Gardens. He used to do his rounds and then he'd stop and he'd hold a sort of adda. So there'd be 8-9 people who would join us, and he'd regale us with some stories. He had a very good sense of humor. We were both members of the Indian International Center, and he had a special table reserved for him in the lounge, and where he'd sit there every afternoon. He'd come and sit there during the parliament break. 4 or 5 people around him, including journalists. He was very open in terms of he never ducked a question. Even if it was
He never ducked a question.
No, he always had an answer. He never bothered to hide. And there used to be 2 journalists who would be at that table. He knew them well and they knew him well. Often they'd ask him about what had happened in Parliament or something. And he'd be very frank and open. And I think he was a great loss to Parliament, because he was a brilliant speaker and a very, very erudite, knowledgeable man about a lot of issues apart from politics and legal issues, as well as cricket. He was very fond of cricket. The stadium is named after him. Now his son runs it.
Unless you have something else that you...
No.
Okay. Now that you've talked about Arun Jaitley and cricket, so I would like to know your impression of Bishan Sing Bedi.
He was a wonderful storyteller, apart from being a great spin bowler. I only met him after he'd retired from cricket. I didn't meet him during his playing days because he was much older than me. Yeah. But I met him after that. I remember going to his house and he'd offer me a drink. He'd chat about cricket and old stories. He had he could write a book on the kind of stories that he had about when India used to first travel to abroad for cricket. He said we used to get so little money that we didn't have enough to pay the laundry bill.
That well those days.
They paid a pittance. He had great stories about how they used to manage with that little money in places like England and Australia when they went there on tours. Very witty storyteller. So you could spend hours listening to his going abroad, playing abroad, and how they managed with so little money. Of course, he wrote a book in the end, just before he passed away. Something about spin. I had the book with me, in fact, signed copy of it. Yeah, he was a real character.
Wit was something that was common between him and Arun Jaitley.